Welcome back to the channel. It has been a very long time since I've done anything with the LS4 Grand Prix, and there's a very good reason behind that. So originally I got everything to swap out the 4T60 with a 4T80, which is technically the front wheel drive version of a 4L80, and it never would shift out of overdrive. I have no clue why it wouldn't do it, because I wired it to the Terminator X and then I wired it to shift completely in manual mode. And either way, it was always stuck in overdrive. I took it to the dyno, it made 301 stuck in overdrive, which if it's not 1-to-1, you're not really getting accurate results. So that being said, today I'm going to be pulling the drivetrain out of this car and I'm going to swap a different transmission onto this engine. And maybe it's the transmission valve body or something going on with this transmission. LS4 is now out of the Grand Prix and everything is really grimy, and I have a bunch of stuff from Holley on that shelf up there, but I really wanted to get this all running and driving, shifting, take it to the drags, get kind of a baseline almost with just a cam, DOD delete and stock, and then start adding everything onto it. Because the biggest issue with these engines is this intake manifold. So if you come over to the oil pressure sensor, you see the intake has to come around it. So it really does end up restricting it a lot because you're going from a throttle body. This isn't a very large throttle body, but from this size to pretty much a passage that's like that. So you're getting half of what the throttle body is allowed to kind of force into the engine. So that means that these are restricted, so they really can't make much more than 300 horsepower NA with this intake manifold. But I do have a Holley mid-ram, like I said up there, as well as a bunch of other stuff. And I already have the turbo for this setup, and I want to get it turbocharged, but I still really want to do a baseline at the drags to see what she's going to put down. I already know she's making 300 something horsepower NA, but at the same time, what will she do in the quarter mile with this setup? So I also want to address the wiring. So the wiring does look like a nightmare because this wiring harness is for an LS2 with a 4L80, but the problem is it's a rear wheel drive. So I wired everything, but since it's for a rear wheel drive, it has all the lengths are all messed up. So then you have like this big bunch of wire here, but then a lot of the wiring wasn't long enough. So I need to do a full harness for this, but I don't want to do it until I put all that stuff up there on the engine. You might not be able to see this in the video, but I probably have probably not even 200 miles on this transmission that I pulled out of that Cadillac. And we already have all of this metal stuff. And the other pan of fluid had a little bit like more metally grayish looking stuff. And then the pan over here looks like it has all kinds of metally stuff in it. It never slipped, it just would never shift. On the old transmission, I didn't realize that there was a filter behind this cover, and you can't actually get this cover off when it's in the car. So I don't think that's why the transmission failed, but I have a brand new filter, and for some reason these filters don't come with a little O-ring. So you have to reuse this O-ring, make sure you don't throw it away. And they're just held in there by friction. So you want to put the O-ring in first. And then this filter just sits in there with friction. It's kind of odd, but that's how it works. And then the case will hold it up. But you do want to make sure it's seated in there nicely. Like so. The inside of the other case is cleaned up because this one didn't have damage on it. And all I have to do is throw this back up. Like so. Throw a few bolts in this thing. Now I need to swap the lower tranny pans. As well as the filters. These filters actually look pretty clean for this being a used transmission. Okay, so now these are the pre-filters right here. There's two of them. The first one places this one right here. And you want to put a little bit of oil on this little O-ring. And you stick the O-ring in first because it's a compression kind of fitting. So this goes in like so. It's like the old one came out. You want to make sure it's nice and flush. There's these little nipples on it that sit against the pan. So you want to make sure that the filter is pressed in enough that there's a lip here to match up with those nipples. And then the other one is down here. And you can see there's a little bit of debris right there, which that's what these pre-filters are for. It's a very fine mesh. It's not going to catch particulates and stuff like the cotton filter will. And you want to make sure that these come out when you pull the filter out. So then that's there. We have the new filter, or pre-filter, a little bit of oil, lube up the O-ring, stick it in there, and then stick the new pre-filter in. And again, you want to make sure that it's low enough. It has these little locating tabs all the way around. How this works is this actually has the stock ones have these little nipples that go into the case. It's the moment of truth. Hopefully, our reverse works. It's not squealing anymore. That's another plus. It might be squealing. Holy crap. Starting off slow. Doesn't really feel like it's got much of anything still. Still, let's try to put it in first. Nope. Still nothing. Still nothing. Initially, when I got the Grand Prix tuned, none of the automatic transmission settings were messed with, and all of these were kind of out of whack. So I went in and updated everything so it's for the 4T80 transmission. So this ECU is set up for a 4L80, but it should still be able to control the 4T80 because they're both 4 speeds, they both use the same solenoids, and it's pretty much the same transmission, just a few differences, and one is front wheel drive and one is rear wheel drive. But I came in, updated all of the shift parameters and the line pressures. So the one thing when I shift it in reverse and it goes into overdrive, or if it's in limp mode, it might be going into second. I'm not 100% sure. It really doesn't feel like second. It feels like overdrive, but it slams in pretty hard. So this is the line pressure. And the way you think about this is most people would think 0 is no line pressure and 100 is all the line pressure, but it's flipped because it's a percentage of a pulse width modulated solenoid. So 100 is actually all the way open and 0 is all the way closed. So it's slamming into gear because currently everything is set at 0, so it's 100% line pressure. And you can see at 0 now, it's 0 and 0, and it will have, you know, it's a duty cycle, so it'll have like 35-ish, 34-ish percent of the valve being open, so it won't be 100% pressure, but not 100%. It's kind of confusing, but this is 0, 100 is 0, and 0 is full. So we have all that set up. I also set all this up. And there is, the unlock, lock, and the slow rate. So hopefully when I update this, it will resolve our issue maybe. We'll see, but let's get this in the car and upload it, and hopefully it resolves every issue that we have. That seemed a little nicer than before. It was just slamming into gear. Yeah, man, this thing, hopefully it's not a dog anymore. It was so slow, stuck in overdrive. Ooh, yeah, adjust that a little bit. Okay, we're in overdrive. Should. Oh, holy sh! She ain't slow anymore, damn! Oh man, I'm gonna be doing some burnouts. I don't know if the speed, oh, I have GPS speed, I think, right now. Is she gonna shift? No, she's not shifting. Out of first, at least we're in first, so it must just be a setting issue now. Oh, that was a shift, I think. I think it's just kind of confused. See if she's fast. Oh boy! Baking the tires. Bang! She's baking the tires. I don't know if you could see it, but I guess these things have a posi. They're like, holy crap, that's a long burnout trying to shift. Oh man. So what I'm going to do to make this really easy is show you guys a wiring diagram that I made for the LS4 and 4T80E with the Holley Terminator X, because there's a few things that you have to change in wire because it won't shift if you don't do it. And the first main thing that I noticed was I wasn't getting any speed and it wasn't showing the correct speed. And what was going on was the VSS sensor on this passenger side axle of the trans housing was actually flipped. The wires are flipped from the 4L80 harness. So the ground and the signal is actually flipped. And if you don't have that correct, it's going to read weird and the speeds are gonna read a lot lower, plus a bunch of other stuff. But let's go take this for a drive and hopefully the transmission now will shift. You know, I guess I'll rip her up the hill. Yeah, look at that. 12 miles an hour, looks good. Okay, let's see if she's gonna shift at a wide open throttle. Ooh! She shifted. I need to fine tune the shifting points though. Oh yeah, she smokes the tires big time. I need to bolt this gauge cluster in before it breaks. Let's do that first so we don't break a almost $2,500 Holley Pro Dash. Okay, so what I did was I upped some of the RPM shift points because I lowered them to try to make the transmission shift, but then it was shifting way too low for the power band. So let's try this again. Oh man, she already shifted. That's nice. Oh man, it's driving like a natural car now. Oh man, look at those marks. Holy sh! She's leaving some marks. Okay, you can see them. Maybe you can. I don't know. All right, let's try this again. So we're going to. She's starting off too low a gear. We're starting off in overdrive again. Now we're starting off in overdrive. That's not making any sense. Oh, the shifter's actually working. Okay. Okay, shifter's working. All right, so the shifter was working. It just wasn't shifting because it's not dropping down. Okay, let's try to. Yeah, it's like starting in overdrive, not wanting to shift now, which is odd because it should be starting off in first. Ooh, there was the oil cooler for the tranny. I'm super stoked that the Grand Prix finally shifts through all the gears. The LS4 is running in tip-top shape, and hopefully on Friday I'll be able to make some passes with the car, but I need to go and do some race prep. So Holley actually sent me a B&M shifter I'll be installing before I take it to the drag strip, because it does shift manually through all the gears, but it doesn't kick down as fast. So I'm gonna have to find somebody that actually knows how to tune the 4L80s which should transfer over to the 4T80 so I can get this thing dialed in for drag racing, because that is the main purpose for building this car. And I can't wait to take it down the strip and finally see what it will run. It's not going to be super fast, but if it runs a 15 or a 16, that will be great. That's a great starting point, a great baseline, and that is what I've been waiting to do since I started this build, was get a baseline so then I could stick, you can see behind me this pallet of parts, all from Holley, and I need to start upgrading this as soon as possible. And I'll probably do some stuff with the draggy because the drag strip is going to close at the end of October. So I think I only have 2 more events, so I should be able to get the intake, the throttle body, the new fuel rails, bigger injectors, get it retuned. It should make hopefully around 400 to 450 with the intake and the throttle body, more fuel, more air. And then after that, I have a turbocharger, but I don't think I'll have the turbo setup done until next season. So I'll probably go in and start using the draggy from there. And then next season, I should be able to go to the track and then kind of see if it compares to what the draggy is showing me. So hopefully we are going to get some good times on it. Hopefully we can make around 800 wheel with it eventually. But I am finally so excited that this thing runs, drives, and shifts. And hopefully this video is kind of informative for you guys, because I know a lot of people that are putting these 4T80E trannies behind LS4s that can't get them to work. I'm guessing it probably was some transmission issue, some wiring issue, and you know, I got everything worked out, which is great. So hopefully this helps out a bunch of people, and hopefully we'll run some good times at the track with this. So I'm gonna end the video here. If you like these videos, make sure to click the subscribe button, throw a thumbs up, throw a comment below. As always, see you guys next time.